So here is the chat system made for last message, and just a little quick rundown of how it works. So what we have up here are different contacts that we're able to communicate with while we're playing in the game. And each of these different people, for example, let's go to Willow, we have different conversations. And then for each of the different conversations, we have different messages. And each of these different messages have a various amount of preconditions in order for them to start. And then a list of actions which get executed in order. So for this one here, we can easily adjust it as we like. We can tell it to send a specific message. For example, Willow in this case will go and say, "Welcome back. How was the run?" And then we can provide an option to the player for them to choose. The button will say "no luck," and then when it is pressed, it will say "no luck this time. Tomorrow I'll try Oriental Parade for supplies." And then of course we are going to wait for the player to select an option in this case. And if we do want to enable or disable this so the player can or cannot press it, we can just check this. And then we can step through and just add in a bunch of other stuff as well. And then of course down here we can add in multiple different options. And for each of these different options we can have a different message where they will actually reply differently according to what the player chooses. And then of course lots more different things that you can add into it. So if we were to actually start the game, I'll be able to demonstrate how it is able to help you debug the game. So in this case, let's go and load up the game. Let's go and talk to Willow, or in this case Wowo is her username. So we can see over in the welcome conversation, we go to here. We can see that the conversation itself is highlighted yellow, and this is to indicate that it has actually been processed. And for each of the different messages, we can see that the red ones have not started yet, the green ones are currently being processed. So we can also see where the different actions are and which ones have been completed. So we can see the precondition has actually been processed correctly, and the reason why it hasn't actually been 10 seconds is because I have debug menu on, so we aren't going to be waiting consistently. And of course each of the different actions we can see which ones are done. So Willow has actually gone and said "welcome back, how's the supply run?" We can see it here, and then it has gone provided an option to the player saying "no luck." And if we were to press this, we can see that it said "no luck this time, tomorrow I'll try Oriental Parade for supplies." And then of course it's going to go and jump through and send the rest of the different messages. And then if we were to click through, we can see that each of the different conditions are all actually being processed. So now we can see this is no longer green. It has actually been completed. So if we were to take a look at the rest of them, it would say, why isn't anything else green? And that is because each of these different ones here, we're actually waiting for the player to choose a specific option. Now this could actually do some renaming because it is a little confusing. So if we were to go over here, we can see we provided the different buttons. So let's go and see what Willow said. She said, "Do you have any of the following symptoms?" Be like, are we agitated? Do we have any flu-like symptoms? Or any unusual hunger towards human flesh? So we actually see we have each of these different options here. So if I were to actually choose "you look delicious," we can see that we actually went and said, "you are looking pretty delicious." And she says, "damn straight. Anyway, how is the supply stash looking?" So we can actually see that over here, hunger is actually being whited out. So it's actually been processed, and the other three are still waiting for you to press the button. So that there is definitely something to work on later on. So we can actually see that this one here was actually processed. So the player pressed this this option and went and said "damn straight," and then we can see the next one is actually activated. So this is a really good way for us to be able to debug the game and get faster result without a coder needing to go in and manually check things to see why it's working and why it's not working, and anyone can just jump in and create their own conversation. There you go.